What part do you not like about the Hillary Clinton, about the Joe Biden wing? What part do you not like?
So a number of things. First
By
of all,
the way, do you put Obama in that camp as well?
Obama, yes. I would say he's like 75% in that camp. I mean, I could list some things that he did that I like, but mostly he's in that camp. I mean, look, their economic policy is what I would call neoliberal corporatism, which is, again, a continuation of the status quo. Foreign policy-wise, he's hawkish, which, again, falls right in line with Hillary Clinton. She brought us Libya. She helped get us the Iraq War. Joe Biden, of course, helped get us the Iraq War as well. So when I look at him, I just see no change. I see a continuation of the status quo.
To you, by the way, what was most frustrating to me, I like a good fight, right? I mean, I don't know about you, but I like a good fight. Like, I like seeing, yesterday, Luka, 60 points, 21 rebounds, 10 assists, first player ever to do it. I don't know if you follow basketball or not.
I do.
Insane statistic to do something like that. And the guy's interview said, did you know you scored 60 points? Did I? I scored 60? I'm tired. I mean, just something like you've never seen before. I like a good fight. There was overtime. I like a Joe Burrow against, Tom Brady, or even the World Cup. A good fight.
Yeah, that was great.
It was so annoying when the announcement came about. Well, Elizabeth Warren, Pete Buttigieg, everybody else, Bernie Sanders is dropping out, and they're all supporting Joe Biden. I wanted to see, you have no clue how bad I wanted to see Trump against Bernie. Yeah. Oh, that would have been insane. I actually think they have some things that they agree on, which would have been interesting, because I don't think they both like the swamp. I think both of them are against the swamp. And it would also, this is the second time they did it. Hillary did that, and now Biden did it, which is quite frustrating to see that happening. When you see that two times and that's your guy, how do you feel about it?
How do I feel about Bernie getting stabbed in the back?
Ousted, yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, look, it tells you that there are very powerful forces behind the scenes at the top of the Democratic Party that would pull out all the stops in order to prevent somebody who would break the mold from taking power. Bernie, I think, is more in the mold of an FDR. And FDR very famously took on powerful interests. And what happened is in the 1990s, Bill Clinton came in, and he was this New Deal Democrat is what they called, or excuse me, not New Deal Democrat, New Democrat, which just means they had the DLC, Democratic Leadership Council. They decided, instead of us taking union money, teacher money, we're also going to start taking the same corporate money that the Republicans are taking. And so they decided, hey, look, I'm not on the left, I'm not on the right, I'm kind of in the middle, and I'm above the fray, and I'm an enlightened centrist. And what they did is made it so the Democratic Party was no longer a party of working people. And Bernie Sanders was trying to bring it back to a party of the working people. And they would not let that happen because they have all the money. Bernie Sanders, he famously, his campaign was built on small dollar donations. And that can get you a long way. But when there's more money on the other side and they're way more organized, and to your point, that is the organization that you just discussed. When you had, what was it, Mayor Pete, Beto O'Rourke, you had all these people drop out on the exact same day, right before a big election, and endorse Joe Biden.
So weird.
If
it's
they
not like
didn't do
Joe
that,
was doing great. It's not like Joe was
He
killing
wasn't.
it. Yeah.
He got destroyed in Iowa. He got destroyed in New Hampshire. And look, if they didn't do that, Bernie Sanders would have won.
So that was the biggest fear. The biggest fear was, what if Bernie takes over and some of these ideas, some of these guys get some momentum?
Correct. Yeah. And also, I think if Bernie was president, I think he would have put Obama's record to shame. And so Obama also has a vested interest in
what way? In what way?
Obama has a vested interest in not allowing Bernie Sanders to become president, because if Bernie gets in there and Bernie does, let's say, universal health care, well, that puts Obamacare to shame. Because Obamacare is this, terrible half measure which keeps the for-profit health insurance companies in control. And so, yeah, I mean, he was screwed.
Kyle, for the audience that doesn't know you, real quick, I mean, obviously you've done very well. You have a YouTube channel that's done well. I think you got 1 billion views on YouTube. You were with Cenk from 13 to 21. And then you got your own thing that you're doing, and you've been around. You just told us who you're engaged to. Is it public? Can we?
Yeah, everybody knows Crystal Ball.
Crystal Ball, who, from
points.
The Hill.
Yeah.
She's a rock star. Her show. Everybody was following her and her partner.
Her and Sagar. Yeah.
They were doing a great job. But so that's your background. That's what you believe in. So if you were to kind of say, well, these are the issues that I support, this is who I am, what would those things be?
Yeah, I mean, it's very simple. I would just describe it as social democracy.
Okay.
So anybody can go to the Wikipedia page for social democracy and read through it, and that's basically what my beliefs are. So I believe in meritocracy. Okay. You might be surprised to hear that, right? But I want the floor to be a reasonable floor. So I want people to have the basics met, and then from that, then you achieve the most that you can. So in other words, if we're running a 100-yard dash, I want everybody starting at the 0-yard line. I don't want somebody at the negative 40-yard line and then Mitt Romney's son at the 85-yard line. I want to have a fair race. I want a real meritocracy. So that means I want everybody to have health care. I want everybody to have education. I want everybody to have the option potentially of going to, say, trade school. I want a living wage for people, so if they work a full-time job, they make enough money to survive. It's very basic stuff that I'm talking about here. I'm talking about what I think the best countries in the world at this point have already achieved. If you look at the Scandinavian countries, a lot of those countries, they provide the basics for people, but then they also rank high in, and I think you guys will appreciate this, economic freedom. So a lot of these countries score higher on like free market principles than our country does. So they cut all the red tape that you can cut when it comes to business, but they also have the basics met for everybody. That's all I want. I just want everybody to, get out what you put in, because certainly in the system we have right now, I think people feel like they're getting a raw deal because they are.
What do you think was common? And Adam, I know you wanted to ask a question. So
No,
what do you think? What commonalities did you see between Trump and Bernie? Like when you looked at the two, what did you say? Okay, obviously they don't agree here, they don't agree here, but there is a lot of similarity here. What were some similarities between the two?
So that's a great question. I would say the similarities are in affectation and posture. So Trump came in 2016 as an anti-establishment firebrand on the right. And I would say that a lot of his rhetoric back then was very populist. He said in the 60 Minutes interview, I'm going to give everybody health care. And they're like, who's going to pay for it? He goes, the government's going to pay for it. This is not something you'd hear Mitt Romney or any other Republican say. He also said, hey, I'm self-financing my campaign. Now, the details of that are not exactly correct, but still the posture was there. Very famously in a debate, he pointed at Jeb Bush and everybody else on stage and said, you hear those people clapping in the audience? That's his donors. I don't have any donors in the audience. And this is stuff that people like.
It was a powerful thing, yeah.
It was sick when he called out the Iraq war to Jeb Bush's face in the middle of a Republican debate in a military state. I think it was North Carolina. And the audience clapped. And it was at that moment, I think it was actually Ben Shapiro who made this point. It was 100% correct. He said on Twitter, this thing's over. And this was early in the race. If you can get a military crowd in North Carolina full of Republicans to cheer against the Iraq war, it's over. And so I think that the anti-establishment firebrand is what Trump brought to the table, and Bernie brought the same thing on the left. So I think the 2016 iteration of Trump was populist right, and Bernie, I think, has always been kind of populist left. And they tapped into a real anger. Now, of course, I think their solutions are very different, and I don't agree with Trump's solution. I think he governed more or less as kind of a standard establishment Republican in many ways. But in terms of how he presented to the country, it was very clear that he was taking this populist right, anti-establishment lane.
This term populist always kind of bewilders me. It's like populism. So I kind of want to break down what it actually means to be a populist. You're basically saying Trump was the populist right in many fashions, for sure. Biden, populist left. By definition, what populist, just you're popular. You're saying things that the majority of people want to hear. But obviously Bernie, what he stands for is wildly different than what Trump stands for. So I guess my question is, how can they both be populist? What's the overlap right there? I'm sure a lot of people who supported Trump would have actually voted for Bernie because they kind of want to just burn down the establishment. Break down kind of what you think populism is today.
Well, I would say it's just hatred of the establishment. And you saw that among Trump voters. You saw that among Bernie voters. The literal definition would be something more along the lines of, doing the will of the people, which is true. But I think that the connecting tissue is that like anger at the system. Whereas you look at somebody like Hillary Clinton and it was like support of the system, prop up the system, explain why I think the system is good. You look at somebody like Joe Biden, same thing. You look at somebody like Mitt Romney on the right, or, the other Jeb Bush. These people are, hey, we got a good thing going on here. The institutions are kind of working, so let's not fiddle with it too much. Right. That's their argument, whereas the Trumps and the Bernies are like, this fucking thing is broken, and that's why you guys are angry. And so I'm going to help you change that.
So with all the craziness taking place, I believe future looks bright. If you believe future looks bright, get your latest Future Looks Bright hat of Valuetainment. It says Future Looks Bright here, Future Looks Bright here. We got them in white, we got them in black, we got them in red. Our black on black sold out. These are about to sell out. If you haven't ordered one yet, we had a person in Michigan, bought one, then he bought three. Then when those 3 people weren't in the office, they had to order 58 of them because people wanted the Future Looks Bright hat, especially during times like this, because ain't nobody saying Future Looks Bright. To order your Future Looks Bright hat, click over here. And to watch the entire podcast, click here. Take care, everybody.